Hi, everyone. Welcome to our 46th Black Lives Matter discussion. Today, we will be talking about the invisible Black woman. Most of us here have had watched the Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith. And yeah, so we'll just get into like what that means and what's going on in the world with that. And yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. So in the Red Table Talk, they had women specifically come in and share their stories. And there was like four different. Yeah. And they just talked about their personal experiences in regards to, not being heard, not being able to share their voice, not being taken seriously. Because what happens is when you're not heard, and this is what we all know about within the unionist system or whatever, is like when you're not heard, your voice starts to raise and get higher, and you start speaking louder, and maybe you use explanation points and capitalized letters in order to get your point across because you're not being heard in that space. And so I'd love to kind of just hear from some of the women of color here what your experiences have been of feeling silenced or feeling like your voice was not heard, and let's heal through that. Let's discuss that and bring those things to light. Anybody want to talk first?
Hey,
Irene.
Thank you for that introduction. Yeah, it's really important that we talk about this topic today because I feel like women of color, and Black women especially, are often like even more difficult social experiences than other people, than other demographics. Even in circles where it is said to be like people are kind of working on social evolutions and healing, they are not heard, as you said. And so what I think it is that we are, I guess, constantly told what we are and what we can be, and it either falls into the category of stereotypes or trope, or its opposites. And its opposite is often like being silent and invisible and not making a huge mark on society.
So when you watched everything and you kind of like got deeper into understanding what this topic meant for you, what were some of the feelings that came up for you, and did you have an experience specifically that came up?
Well, I was not surprised, but at the same time, I was like, oh shit, like I've been gaslighted my whole life, even by people that said that it was love. And, like a few weeks ago, I was expressing that frustration of being told like what race I could be as a child. And that was exactly that, like people constantly tell me who I am and who I can be. It's like, I feel like I have a right to be annoyed and frustrated at that.
Yeah.
And to just feel that and let it come up and then let it go.
Good. Yeah. And so how are you feeling now in this space in regards to your voice and being heard?
I'm still feeling a bit of annoyance.
Yeah, just feel through all that annoyance. Let it all come up to the surface. And as you move through that annoyance, is there any other feeling that comes up afterwards?
There's like sadness.
Yeah.
I guess like I know my truth, but I'm not even allowed to defend it because I'm judged.
Yeah, so in this space, do you choose to claim your power back here?
Mm-hmm.
Good. And how does that feel to claim your power in that space?
More peaceful, more grounding.
Yeah, good. And in that space, is there anything that you need to feel love there?
Yeah, I need a lot of love there.
I'll just give her all that love. And how is she feeling now in that space?
It's feeling better. What's coming up underneath is like this longing, I guess, to be
Yeah. Is it safe for you to be yourself?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Who created you?
God created me.
Yeah. And so it's safe and it's good to be as God created you. Is there anything wrong with God's creation? No. No, it's perfect. You're perfect as you are. And as you feel through that, is there anything else that comes up for you?
No, that's it. I feel relief.
Good. Good job. That was awesome.
Thank
Kanisha,
you.
do you have a card for Eurene that you can pull for her?
That you can have
pull.
Yeah, so surrender to miracles. Be open to miracles occurring in your life. Feel and know that these events are real. Let go of any resistance and banish any doubt that miracles can happen.
Thank you.
Also, I feel like there's a big piece around one of the components in that video, where the woman that was a doctor on a plane that could help save somebody's life was actually asked for credentials and basically cross-questioned about why she's there, what she's doing there, and whether she has her diplomas with her, and whether she has a business card with her. And I was, like just feeling into that. I kind of feel like that's part of why Black women strive so hard to be so educated that they almost lose the component of the fulfilling life because they're chasing the education for respect. And then once they do have the education, and then it's the flip side of it, of almost people are afraid of your power, and so you start to fear your own power. And like just feeling into it, one of the places in my life where it's happened was At some point in my life in corporate, somebody said to me, "You think you're important?" I was like, "No, I know I'm important. I wouldn't be in this role if I wasn't important." And it was a situation of, at the time, not completely understanding that I am a divine feminine in a masculine body, but it was also portrayed by a feminine in a female body. And it's just like, what, like feeling back into it, it's that kind of energy of you almost have to have this long list of qualifications to bash people over the head with so that they actually listen to you and respect you and honor you. And you're like feeling into it. I was just like, that's why divine feminines of color sometimes play themselves down. Because again, it's around that forceful Black woman that's asserting her authority on everybody. And yet she's very qualified to be there and do that. And if somebody just honored the divinity in that person and in themselves, it would be a peaceful process.
Yeah, I feel like that's why we don't have a lot of Black women step into that leadership role, is because they already feel that they're not going to be heard or respected. And if they do, then they're gonna have to fight like 10 times as hard to keep that respect, to keep that without looking like an angry Black woman.
Yeah, like I feel like all of this like goes into like that gaslighting piece that other doctor talked about, because like I've experienced this too, where like say I'm in like a disagreement with somebody or something, or even if I put up boundaries for myself, it's like I'm automatically just like told like, oh no, this isn't really that serious, you shouldn't feel this way, blah 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 blah. And like I think this also has to do a lot with like I know we've talked about like unconscious bias before. It's like it's because, oh well, like somewhere in there it's like, well, yes, this is a Black woman, so it shouldn't matter what she says, So
yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, or they make it like it was like a feeling of like trying to like flip the wrong onto you. Like I know personally for myself, like I was at a bar one time with a friend, and an older white man had came to like talk to us and really got into our space. And I had just told him like, "Sir, I need you to back up. Like you're in my space, and I don't need you in my space, and we actually don't want you here." And he was just like, "You're just an angry Black woman, aren't you?" And I was just like, "I'm not angry, sir. I just would like my space, and you're not respecting my space. I will show you an angry Black woman." And
we're getting there.
Like,
yes,
like,
girl, I will show you an angry
woman.
Black woman if you want me to, kind of thing. The place where the angry Black woman just has to come out. And then she throws her toys so colossally that they all shit themselves.
And what really surprised me too was like what he thought his authority was, because he was like, "You have no idea who I am. I'm a millionaire. I could take care of you if I want to, but I'm not going to take care of an angry Black woman." And I was like, "Sir, I don't care about your money. I care about my space. Now please back up." And like it really like surprised me. And it wasn't until another gentleman stepped in and was like, "Sir, she asked you kindly to back up, and you're choosing to disrespect her." And so it was like he was trying to like flip on me that I was doing something wrong. And I was like, no. And so that's part of it too, is like they're always trying to flip the role onto you have done something wrong.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because that was actually like, another example that I didn't go further into. It's like you assert your boundary, and it's almost like they don't want to admit that what they had done was wrong, like him trying to press up against your space.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the immediate reaction is just to flip the script and make it look like you were the bad guy. But it's like, how did we get here? Like, what happened at first? You know what I mean? And that's the issue, because you have to hear all sides of the story before you make, you know, like if we were in court, for example, you know, you have to hear all sides of the story before you can just like assume like what happened. And I think a lot of times that doesn't happen. And I love that, you know, in the Red Table Talk, they brought up Ma'Khia Bryant, because that's exactly what she's being labeled as, an angry Black woman. But it's like she was trying to call for help for how long? Okay, yeah, she has a knife, and you know, but there, you know, probably is a better way that they could have handled that. We've all heard of like
Aren't they trained for that?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So yeah, I love everything that you said.
And they also brought up Brianna as well, as like she was asleep in her bed. And one of the things that they said was like, if she, I wish I could remember the woman's name, but she's like, if I didn't fight for her, the world would forget about her.
Yes.
Yep. She's an activist. She was on the trail. What I love about her, she was on the trails for, I forget her name.
Tamika.
Is it? Tamika Brown.
Her son's name is Tariq, and I thought it was
Tamika Mallory.
Tamika Mallory. That's it. Thank you so much, Deji. Yeah, she was on the trails of the Women's March. She was a part of that whole movement back when Trump was elected. And what was happening is that she was like still, even in that, was being like being treated as the angry Black woman. Like she's like there fighting for women's rights, and it's like, well, you're emotional and all this other stuff or whatever. And like women overall were experiencing that, but specifically the Black women.
The issue can just keep getting buried.
Yeah.
Oh, well, now she's angry, so let's just ignore everything
else. Silencing. Yeah. And so oppression. Yeah. So anyway, so she ended up stopping that, and then she just kind of like switched gears and focused on women of color and specifically supporting Brianna and making sure that her name and her voice was not silenced or oppressed. And look where that, look where that's gone to. But even her, she had a story about how she was on an airplane.
She was going to first class.
She was trying to get to first class because she has claustrophobia or something like that. And so she needed to be in first class. And they tried switching her out of first class, and she was like, no, I need first class. And then the pilot basically was like, are we going to have are you going to be on your best behavior? And she said, yes, sir, I'm going to be on my best behavior. And had a tude with him, because how dare you ask someone that, first of all. Anyway, and so they ended up kicking her off the flight. They kicked her
off anyway, so it didn't even matter.
They kicked her off the flight, and and my point of saying this is that like when she posted about it on Twitter to say like, I just got removed from American Airlines, and this is what happened, and like it's ridiculous kind of thing, like trying to stand up for herself and having her voice be heard. Nothing. There was no traction until Daddy
said something about it.
Until a man did it. Until a man stood up and said it. So there's something here, and I think it's really interesting that a couple weeks ago we were talking about, the divine masculine and healing a lot around the divine masculine. I think right now it seems like it's time where we're really healing and supporting the divine feminine. Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's like perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
No, that was perfect timing. Like, normally there's a little car, a little truck. There's like a whole train. Like, we're taking this all the way through.
It's still going too. It's like, we're here. Like, we're gonna move through this.
God says it's time, I feel I really had these experiences too, because I've been in activist group, and even in my life, and even with my parents having money, and so doing things that they weren't expected to do as Black people. It's like, okay, we had this experience and it was racist, and this is how I feel about it. And people, even when they were willing to have a conversation with us, the pattern was that they had to justify it with like facts and theories and people like supporting them publicly. Otherwise, it would be supporting the voice of an emotional woman. And it was just not okay to speak from a place of emotion about racism, still like to this day. And so it literally is counterproductive to all that we've learned in Black Lives Matter, because you're really suppressing the voice of someone who had this experience because you're thinking that she's exaggerating, or because she's like projecting an image that you don't want to see about yourself. And so I really love that we've entered like this discussion of stereotypes in the media, because I've been really like documenting myself this year about this, and a lot of it is about women of color. And there's like this thing, I feel like the experience of Kenesha can be described as like there's this thing with exotism that I've experienced too. Well, like for women of color is exotic, and or she's attracting her sexual experience, or like she's really just like a snake, like attracting people to temptation. And if she doesn't fit into that category, she fits into the category of a diva or an angry person. And so, if you're respecting ego, there's really no way. And that's why we are gaslighted so much. It's because like people are really angry that we don't fit into the categories that they've learned about women of color.
Mm.
And I guess a part of verbal and even physical violence that we experience can be traced from that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you touched on a very important point about that almost trying to box women of color into certain spaces. So the mammy or the matriarch that emasculates her divine masculine, or the Jezebel who deserves the untoward sexual behavior, or may even have accomplished things because of using her sexuality. And so downplaying the fact that divine feminines of color are smart and capable and driven and powerful and present, because it takes presence to deal with some of those things and not lose your shit. And sometimes there's presence in even losing your shit. Like there's a point at which you gotta go, you want the bitch, you're going to get the bitch. Understand that.
Yes.
No, let's be
Yeah.
honest. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
There's a line at which you kind of need to draw a significant boundary, and sometimes that boundary is that significant bitch energy. It's like really back off now.
That's what Jess says. He's like, if they're being an asshole, treat them like the asshole they are being.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like boundaries are so important, and yet it seems like when Black women ask for boundaries, that like they're asking for
It's a
$10 million,
problem.
like something that we can't give them, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Like I was thinking about it. Sorry, do you have something
It's
to
okay.
say?
You know,
What I was gonna say is that what I've been experiencing in my union. It's funny. Like when we went to Jeff and Shalea's home, we were spending time with them for boot camp, and I sat down or whatever, and I was like being a lot of touchy-feely on Stasia, and like really just like hugging her, just like touching her a lot. And Jeff was like, what are you doing? Like you like, no.
Like, don't weaken your
like
woman.
don't weaken your woman or whatever.
Because I was like healing something and like crying. It wasn't like he was just like, ah, but he thought he didn't need to like do that.
Well, and then also like in our relationship too, like we've healed through a lot of like intimacy boundaries too, where you're like, no, you can't touch me there. And it's interesting, like I was watching Chelsea Handler's, she also was on the Red Table Talk, she talked about white privilege.
Recently,
and she like slapped the lady's butt who was of color, right? And she's like, excuse me, you don't get to just like touch my body or like touch her hair or whatever, right? And so like, yeah, like even though she's my, you know, my woman, like she's my twin flame, that doesn't mean that like I am allowed to touch her in a way that doesn't feel good to her. And I realized like in the beginning of our relationship, I had a lot of things I had to heal around like respecting her boundaries, which is totally odd and weird, but like that was something that I worked through and what she worked through or whatever. But you were like, no,
like, get off of me.
Get off of me. No. And I'm like, okay. But you know, like it's just I guess what I'm pointing to here is that like I don't know what the upset is specifically.
Like whenever a Black woman like puts up a boundary.
Right. Like what is it that?
Well, you know, it's kind of like what I was thinking when you said, you know, just because you're my woman doesn't mean I get to touch you. I was kind of thinking like, well, and just because I'm Black doesn't mean like I just can be disrespected by anybody.
Oh, so
you know
maybe that's
what
it is. There's a programming like, in consciousness that like Black people are objects.
That's why it's called Black Lives Matter.
And so they're treated like objects.
That's what they talked about too. Like she said that she talked to oh god, I'm forgetting the basketball player's name, but she was talking to him and he was like, they always like take the great things from the Black women, the hips, the booty, the lips, the hair. And that's part of like when I was younger and I started to like notice some of those things of like when people would just start to touch my hair, like it was almost like I'm like being prodded at, like, oh, like there's something so different about you, like why is your hair this way, and oh, so you have to use special things for your hair type. Like it was always like I was so outcast in a sense that it was just like it was foreign almost. So I always felt foreign to wherever I was, and almost that feeling like they could take from you is really what it is. But which is what slavery was. They took from you. They used you.
Thanks for bringing this up.
Yeah, you know, it's that energy of you've got such beautiful skin. You're so exotic, and you know, and then you start to stroke your face, and you're like, "Get your damn hand out of my face! Do I look like I need it there?"
Oh, I don't know. That exact thing totally triggered me.
And somebody said to me the other day, you really don't like obnoxious things. I was like, no, I don't. Back off.
Yeah, you're not allowed
Back away.
Like Black women. And I'm like, not all Black women are loud and obnoxious, but there are moments where I can be very loud and obnoxious. It just depends on what situation I'm in. Like,
listen, white women are like that too. Hispanic
it's
women
the
are like
energy
that.
of you have to dial it
like,
up in order for people to listen.
Yes.
It goes back to that energy of respect, you know, and it's something that was also shared in the video. It's that you sometimes you have to dial it up. And why do you need to? How many people that are naturally respected actually have to dial it up for people to respect them? What is that?
And then get called angry Black woman. Seriously, I remember someone asked me to do something and I politely was like, no, I'm not doing that because XYZ. And they freaked the fuck out. They were like, you're so rude. And I'm just like, you asked me to do something that was rude.
Really inappropriate. Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like there's a healing piece here that I want us just to feel into. And I'm not sure who has the piece. I just also don't want us to relate inside of the complaint. Because if we do just relate inside of the complaint, we miss the opportunity for the healing.
I'm kind of getting an upset around.
Go ahead, Marley.
Oh, sorry. I'm just
ahead.
getting an upset around like Black women are feeling very taken from, very objectified, and very taken advantage of.
So I'm trying to feel into it, to feel if that's my feeling or if there's something else there that I'm feeling and possibly even projecting. So I just want all the divine feminines of color to just just feel into it, because I feel like there's definitely an opportunity for healing here.
For me, in general, it's just always disrespected. Like that comes up over and over.
And so you
not feeling like an equal.
Okay, so you both have a piece now.
That's okay. We can do it all together.
Okay, so I feel like Anastasia surfaced something around the respect piece that probably will heal the taken from piece that Marley was speaking to. And Kanisha, I would just want to feel out what you raised. Does that feel like it's in the same sort of ballpark? We can always do two separate healings. I just want to kind of get a sense of it.
Yeah, not feeling like an equal, it's like being taken from and feeling disrespected. So yeah, that is all I'm saying.
Okay, so who's comfortable to go through the healing process here?
Yeah, we can start with me.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's just take a deep breath there. So when you think and feel into the always disrespected piece, what is the feeling?
It's just like there's a lot of numbness and pain and anger because of like constantly just having to bury it because everything we talked about. So
okay, so do you want to make a new choice for it to surface peacefully so that you can heal through it?
Yeah.
And so what is the first piece you want to really heal? What is the first feeling? Like if there was nothing else, what was that first thing?
Just anger.
Would you like to just allow that anger to move through you?
Yes.
Just allow the anger to move through you, because anger is often sadness's bigger sister.
Yeah,
So,
I feel sad now.
Can you see that piece of it, that part of yourself that's feeling sad? What does she need to feel loved here? What does she need to feel safe here?
I just choose to respect her and love her the way she is.
Where does her respect actually come from?
God.
Because God is the source of all the love and all the respect and all the safety. And so is it safe to allow God to just lift you up in his hands right now?
Yeah.
How does that feel?
I like that.
Good. How does that feel? I know you said you like it, but how does it feel?
That was like way easier than I thought it was gonna be. It feels good now.
Yeah, because your healing should never be an arduous or difficult process. Yes, our inner work is work, but it's not the slavery toil that's been encoded into our DNA. Work doesn't have to be painful or hard or heavy. And in just healing that, you probably healed a component of seeing how much fun your healing is and how much play there can be in your healing.
Yeah, and just like how important it is to just continue healing myself no matter what like it looks like on the outside or what the society is saying, you know what I mean?
And so sitting in God's hands, in God's arms, what's the next feeling that comes up?
Yeah, just a little bit more sadness.
What is that sadness about?
I like feeling rejected, like rejecting myself.
So is it safe to claim all of you and to possess all of you and to be all of you?
Yeah. Yeah, it is safe.
And so what does abandoning any part of yourself actually give you?
Nothing good. Just pain.
In fact, it just gives you nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
And so we don't like the gift of nothing, do we?
No.
Right. So what gift do we want to replace it with?
A lot of love and acceptance.
Claim yourself completely.
Yeah, I claim myself completely.
All those parts of you and all your memories that are carrying residual components of that emotion, just claim all of them and just love all of them. Just allow all of them to return to the completeness that is you.
Wow, that's helpful. I didn't even think of it that way before.
Yeah, and so the reason why I'm helping you do that is because every time we experience an extreme emotion, we allow ourselves to fragment a little bit when we don't heal it. And so it's very powerful to reclaim all those components so that you can actually go deeper into your healing process. And one of the things that just in healing abandonment that stood out for me was, as a child, it is not wrong to want connection. It is not wrong to want to be loved. It is not wrong to feel like the people around you aren't doing a great job. It's not wrong. You're not wrong for wanting to love. And so because we get taught in ways that it is wrong to want some of those things, because the people that we want them from are not completely capable of giving it to us, we encode this wrongness about it. And so we start to develop the codependencies on people that appear to be giving it to us, and they may not be. So it's not wrong to want connection. It's not wrong to want love. It's not wrong to need your parents. And those are the components that we grow up with, that we fragment. Because as a child, we are not able to reconcile the fact that we love somebody with the fact that we don't like their behavior.
Yeah.
So it's not wrong to want connection. What is wrong is to develop attachment to unhealthy connection because you think it's serving you. But it's not wrong to want connection. It's not wrong to want love. It's not wrong to want to give love. It's not wrong to want to give a connection. And so you can very comfortably invite all those fragments back and just love them back into actual connection with you.
Yeah.
How does it feel to just release those tears, knowing that you didn't do anything wrong?
It feels really good.
Yeah. Yeah, your tears are a release, they're a lift of the negative energy. Crying is not a sign of weakness. It's something that we get taught in society, but it's actually crap. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of release and healing integrating.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you feel now?
I feel a lot better. Yeah, I just feel like I will just need to sit with this now.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Just allow it to settle into you and just hold it dear and take it where you need to take it when you're ready to take it there.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for helping me through that. You're almost a coach, right?
Yep.
Okay, everyone watching this, you know who to coach with.
To put out my testimonial call. I finished.
Make sure you jump on that.
Nice. Yeah,
cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Granville.
You're welcome.
One thing I was feeling into as, we were healing that is like, the root of like why all this like hurt is here. And it has a lot to do with just, people taking and not giving love to themselves. And I'm just like thinking back like the conquests of the world, trying to conquer people and places and the environment and trying to take and take. And, we're reprogramming ourselves to love and give instead and not allow the takers in our life. Yeah, I, just felt that was important.
Yeah, I love that you say that because I think one of the things that I found was stage I was working through some stuff was the feeling of sadness, and when I felt into it, it was like just a sadness that my ancestors and my brothers and sisters at the time just didn't quite grasp how truly powerful they were and how truly loved they were by God, and just like feeling into that that space where I was still believing in separation from myself and from God. And so just really like having gratitude for this work and understanding that they went through what they went through. However, because of that, like it's really, in a sense, created a path for us to bring in this healing, for us to recognize these things that have happened so that we can heal them. And so being a part of that is a really beautiful thing. And just choosing to always claim your power, always choosing to remember that you are completely loved by God.
Um, I'm thinking Kieran and Stephanie are opening a workshop on World War II. And even though it's not like in the unionism discussion group, I don't think it's a coincidence that they published that today, because in the description they were talking about something that I thought of all day, and I thought that we could go deeper in, and it's intergenerational trauma. And so I'm just showing like this big release of like people being taken from their land and expected to give it freely, and then taken from their home, expected to give again. Colonizers taking from our body freely. And then again, when it was not about colonization anymore, expected to give again, to be accepted into the society. And so I feel like all these tears are about like a big boundary, probably like bigger than what we realize. That will help us claim our power and claim our place deeper into the society without people taking from us anymore, without this relationship of abuse taking place anymore.
I recently saw this great video about, you know, these Native Hawaiians. They had this island that, you know, they was really sacred and part of, you know, their history. And the U.S. actually took over Hawaii illegally, and you know, then during World War II started testing bombs on the sacred island, and completely wrecked the island. And it looked like there's no way back from how horrible they treated this piece of land. But you know, the Native Hawaiians, they kept on, they fought the government and won back their island. And you know, it's regrowing now, and it's healing. And yeah, I thought that was really powerful, like showing, you know, like despite all the destruction, all the hurt that, you know, can be brought upon something, still is able to heal. And we're still able to heal like this deep hurt.
This is a random thought that just came to my mind. Okay, so when Ray made that pointed out of how there was a program of how society looks at, you know, Black women as just like objects, this made me think about a situation that happened a few years ago. Well, not a few years ago, like about 3 or 4. So there was this woman. Her name is Paris Monroe. She's a teacher, and what happened was she took a picture of herself in her classroom, and this photo went completely viral because she was a beautiful, voluptuous woman, and in a way, some people kind of got intimidated by that because, you know, not a lot of women look like this girl, and she was being scrutinized for her body instead of her job and her brains and beauty. And it got so bad to the point where the Atlanta public school system got involved, and pretty much she pretty much did nothing wrong. She's if I can show you the picture right now, you understand what I'm talking about. But yes, she just really got scrutinized over her body and really overly sexualized for just being who she was, which is why, like, I'm kind of thankful, you know, like as a divine feminine for, you know, people like Maya Angelou, because she really uplifted black women when not a lot of people would. You know, like Phenomenal Woman, or Still I Rise, things like that. That was a random thought that came to my mind just now.
Reggie, I'm just glad that you changed that fire detector. But
What?
Getting it? Okay, whatever. I'm just kind of thinking about the first question, which was like, in your life, when have you felt silenced, and all that. And so I was just kind of thinking back, and the only times I can come up with is when I was just around white people, and like no one else was like, it was. So I grew up very diverse. Like I grew up in Miami. I grew up, I went to a PWI college, but was around mixed people. Like I was around Black people, I was around white people, it's just progressive in that way. I went to HBCU. And so
Yes.
the only times I can really think about like a time is working, and my first job was predominantly Black in terms of who was in the staff and who was leading me and part of that. And so I can only think of this particular job where I was the only Black person, and it's intimidating is a word that comes to mind. It's there's an energy of intimidation unnecessarily, and as a result, that becomes a competitive nature unnecessarily that I felt. And I'm very idealistic. I'm very like, let's all get along, and it just didn't feel good, basically. And so, those are kind of the only spaces. And I remember I left that job, and my prayer was, Lord, I just want to leave gracefully. Like, I just want to gracefully exit. And I remember when I was sitting down, they were trying to put me on probation and all this other stuff. That's what you're not gonna do. And so they were telling me this, and I was like, well, actually, I'm gonna resign. I was like, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for, being able to be here and work in this capacity. Really appreciate it. But, I'm gonna decide to resign. And one of the women, both white women, was like, oh, wow. And she said it. She was like, you did that very gracefully. And in my head, I'm thinking, you wanted me like throw tables and like throw the chair? Like, how else you wanted me to say it? Like, I'm just leaving the job. Like, but she was like, wow, you did that really gracefully. And then the other lady who I had the most tension with was like, well, can you, if it's okay, I would like to post a job. Girl, I ain't even said this for about a full 5 minutes and you ready to post a job? Girl, go ahead. Well, actually, I had something for that too. I wanted to recommend the girl who was, I was like leading it, and there was another person working with me. And so I was like, I actually would recommend her, because you crazy and she crazy, and like y'all know each other crazy. So y'all should just work together. I didn't say all that, but I was like, I would actually recommend her to do the job. Like, you shouldn't go searching nowhere. Like, you should give her the job. She deserves it. And they did hire her. And so I just think about things. I just think about that situation. And my prayer was just to gracefully exit. And she said that. And in my head, it was like, what do you think I was going to do? You thought I was going to throw chairs and and cause a ruckus. So, but yeah.
So how are you feeling, Sarita? Ooh, Kanisha's got
what
it.
was
Go
really
ahead.
coming up is like, why are people fearful of the Black woman?
You broke up a little bit, but it sounded like you said, why are people fearful of Black women?
Yes.
Yeah, so the next thing, I was like, if it's angry Black woman, I was like, what does an angry white woman look like? Like, what that look like?
Karen.
What did you say?
So my
There's a lot of videos
mom.
of Karen going around. That's what the white woman looks like.
I didn't hear you, Kanisha.
Yeah, no.
What'd she say?
I said Karen, the meme of Karen going around.
Oh, Karen.
Karen. Yeah, Karen. That's the angry white woman. Or Susan, whoever Jeff uses. Time, just Susan or Karen.
Yeah, Karen was like one of the most searched words on the internet of 2020. Just saying.
Yeah, but like I guess with that, like that energy, like when people bring it up, it's more of like annoyed and like they find it funny. But like again, like with Black women, it's almost like, oh, like there's a fear there, and I'm trying to figure out what is the fear, what is the upset there.
Could it not be that the fear is that women are projecting the fear of their own power onto other people, and so they're just attracting the energy of fear around them all the time? The people actually fear their energy.
I think it's more so like Black women are portrayed as like ghetto, like that word, or because of our skin color and like how we talk sometimes too, like our slang and our just demeanor overall. Because I feel like we have a powerful presence, like even when we walk in a room, and that's the parts that's intimidating, like this Kalito was experiencing. I feel like they were probably intimidated of you. So yeah, I feel like it's just that kind of bad perspective.
Yeah, but what I'm pointing
like
to is your reality reflects something happening on the internal. And so if there's an energy of fear around you, what fear of yourself are you projecting outwards that keeps on rippling back? So I know there's a difference between what's ghetto, like let's all be honest, we have the concept, but again, it's also popularized media stuff. Like what's the reality? What's the truth of why that projection is still there, and how do we clean up the projection? And that's why I'm pointing to what's happening on the inside that's allowing that projection.
Yeah, releasing the belief that your power isn't enough.
So we've had a power hour, everybody. So yeah, I don't believe that this conversation is exhaustive or exhausted, but we have reached our hour. So I think just a couple of very quick concluding thoughts, if you have any, Karisha.
Marley had something.
Oh, okay, cool.
Well, it was basically what Kanisha said, just like the power struggle. Everyone's trying to get power, and something we could heal next week.
Cool. So let's feel into that as a topic. But for today, thank you everybody for your participation. Yes, we will see you again next week for another conversation around why Black Lives Matter. Please feel free to like and subscribe to our Church of Union YouTube channel. You will find all our previous conversations around why Black Lives Matter, as well as all the other live conversations that have happened in the Unionism Spiritual Discussion Group. And we look forward to seeing all of you again next week. Thank you, everybody.